Hey runners, how do you keep loving to run in your 40s and beyond? Well, I'm going to tell you, there's really two things you can do that are going to make a huge difference in your run. And one is to work on your elasticity, and the second is to work on your strength. Both of those things are so necessary as you get older. They're necessary anyway, but especially as you get older. And let me give you some good news to start, because when we talk about muscle elasticity, here's something really neat. You have the potential to keep developing and using your muscle elasticity until you're 85. And then at 85, you still have the ability to use and develop muscle elasticity, just not in the same way you do now. So now is the time to start. And this is amazing because over 99% of the people that join RunRx that I've worked with for, like I said, I've been doing this for over 30 years, almost all of them are using active muscle contraction to run without using their natural muscle elasticity. So the amount of impact that you're adding to your movement by using active muscle contraction rather than muscle elasticity is like early aging. So it's like the way to get the spring, the youthful spring you want is to be able to bend your knees, because that's what allows you to keep moving so much better. So that's the first thing. And then strength. And this is really neat. I love strength training, but I'm going to show you something. So I encourage all of my RunRx members. We actually used to give these away at clinics, and it's just a band. And most people that have gone to like physical therapy have some kind of band. So I use bands both to practice running, the running technique, and also to have fun with elasticity, especially if you have not been using elasticity. It's a fun way to practice. However, most of my runners, they'll told me, you gave me the band, I rarely use it. So do you have to have it? No. However, it's an easy thing to use. So I do recommend it. And then this is a PVC pipe that you can get anywhere, and you could use a broomstick if you wanted. But the idea is to start doing something that you grip, because grip strength is actually really important for your upper body and for your overall strength. So it's important to use something grippy. And absolutely, you can use dumbbells. That's fine. If you're already strength training, great. But I'm using this because I actually get runners to try this. And again, most of what I do at RunRx, it's a skill, strength, and self-care. So we do strength training, we do skill drills, and all of it is for you to get elasticity and strength to hold yourself up during your run. This is what a lot of people don't realize as they age. It's that they think that they're losing, like, oh, my knees are old. I hear this a lot. My joints are old. And I'm like, they're actually not old. They're as old as you. However, you just haven't been greasing the wheel. You haven't been oiling the joints. And how do I do that? I don't want to be the tin man. And that's what a lot of runners, that's what they start to feel like in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and up. And the reality is it's two things that are so simple. And building elasticity, like I said, number one, building elasticity. First step, bend your knees. And when you first start with RunRx, we have what's called the immersion. So I spend a full month with you with a daily practice. And it's like a 3 to 5 minute practice. And the whole point of it is to teach you how to use elasticity. Because the first step is learning how to keep your knees bent without putting any weight on them. And this is so important because, again, if you press down, that's going to ouch, which is kind of what you're doing in your run. Rather, what you want to learn is how to make yourself taller. This is where the upper body strength comes in. Lifting the torso, keeping the knees bent. This right here is called ready stance. And it's just wild how working on standing in your ready stance is the beginning of elasticity. And it's also the beginning of running. And then you learn from ready stance how to hop. This is where you can use bands and things like that. But the reality is you have to learn how to hop. And here's something fun. You know, I see a lot of this with running. They'll be like, hey, runners, you need to do plyometrics. And they've got like a runner jumping up on a box. And that's fantastic, great. However, if I'm in my 40s, 50s, or 60s and my knees hurt, not sure jumping up on a box is the first thing I want to do. So if you start with elasticity, and when I'm talking about elasticity, I'm talking about once your knees are bent and you learn how to hold your ready stance, I teach you how to hop, how to use your upper body, your torso, your full body to unweigh your feet. And once you learn that, then you learn what's called rebound, which is where you sit here and there is no action. I'm not jumping, I'm not exerting, I'm allowing my natural muscle elasticity to work. And this is what you have to start to learn, that you can do this too. You just have to learn how. Then once you have your elasticity and you get more confident, more strength, yeah, then go ahead and jump up on boxes. Then I'm going to encourage that. However, I'm telling you, the way to start learning how to use your own elasticity is through the ready stance, keeping the knees bent, torso lifted, and also learning how to unweigh your feet and use rebound. And I'm going to tell you guys, when I first started learning this myself, so I was a strength coach, I was a group fitness instructor, I was in college, graduated college, Knies major. And I started being a personal trainer, group fitness instructor in the gym, and then people started to ask me to train them for 5Ks, triathlons, and I thought, oh, I've not done these things. I was a recreational runner, so I started to get more into competitive running, how to coach. This is how I found what I coach, which is called Pose Method. And what's amazing is, all right, so this was, I found it in 1999, so it's been 27 years since I've been doing this. And even then, most of us that were just recreational runners, and I was fit, I taught group fitness, did a lot of strength training, we had never rebounded. So as a kid, a lot of us did things like jump rope, right? Skipping, jump rope, things like that, which are great, and they're great exercises. However, all of those are pushing exercises. Never had I just stood perfectly still and learned how to use my body weight to do a continuous rebound. Isn't that, it's just something that you might learn that in sports, you might not. However, once you learn how to, and like I said, any age, any ability, it's an amazing skill to have for your run. Because really what running is change of support. So if I learn how to rebound, and then I learn how to shift body weight, lift my torso, I'm running. And it's less than half, over 50% reduction impact on the knees by using muscle elasticity. It's amazing, and it's really amazing. You just have to take that time to learn it, right? By the way, for free in the app, we have the 3-2-1 run, which takes you through how to learn it, just without the guidance of a coach. Still worth your time. And then, of course, if you think, I want to learn this a little quicker, come on in, let me teach you. All right, and then just real quick, I'll say with strength. Strength exercises specific for running, not just doing a standard body weight, standard weight training. And this is important because in order to run and run well and not hurt my knees, one, I need to be able, right, to use that elasticity. But second, I need to have the strength in my feet, my hips, and my torso to hold my body up. So I call it the run line. I need to be strong from the foot to the head. And so exercises that work you in this way are fantastic. So like I said, we've got a bunch on the YouTube channel. The RunRx Reboot will take you through a lot of strength exercises, but just one that I'll give you is just taking, like I said, this is no weight at all, and standing in your ready stance. So my knees are bent and I'm just trying to make myself taller and holding. And so I call this a bar hold. And all you should be feeling is all of the muscles here, right, lifting up. You can feel, or you should feel, that your feet feel lighter. And then if you want to get a little bit more strength and balance, then you're going to stand in that running pose. And then we work into practicing the pulls. So we do things like this where you're practicing your running movement while strength training as well. And then of course we have some just standard strength exercises, again, starting with body weight, and then go ahead up to barbell, up to dumbbell, whatever you want. But those two things are going to make a huge difference as you get older. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, my knees actually didn't hurt. They just weren't free to move. So I hope you'll give it a shot. Again, like I said, you can try the 3-2-1 run on the app, or of course, love to have you join the membership and let me coach you through getting those knees back to running. All right, guys, have a great run. Thanks so much for listening and subscribing.